Welcome, everybody, to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen a hot take before, well, it's where a few friends give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a game, and that game is Marvel's Spider-Man 2. My name is Anthony Ragucci, and here to discuss with me, as always, Spider-Blood, radioactive Spider-Blood, Chris Trio.
If you don't know where that is from, you don't have a soul. I don't know what to tell you. No, I'm kidding.
You're just not cool.
You weren't jamming out to the Spider-Man
cool.
intro in the 1990s to radioactive Spider-Blood. Not a lot of radioactive Spider-Blood in this, aside from Spider-Man, maybe himself. But
yeah, I guess not.
Yeah.
Not a lot of radioactivity in general.
No, not really. But here we are, Spider-Man 2, TOO, if you will. No, it's obviously just 2. I'm excited to talk about it. I beat it a while ago, Gooch. We were just talking about this.
Yeah. It's I finished it. Yeah, this week. I beat it like early last week. Platinumed it a day or two ago. And we both platinumed it.
Yep.
Both playing on PS5 because it's the only place you can play it. So
Correct.
I don't know why I need to preference that.
Yeah.
One of our Game of the Year nominees. It's up for plenty of awards.
Absolutely.
But Trio, this one was tough for me to analyze.
I see.
Like, I really had a difficult time sort of, like, everything I said, like, everything I, like, ended up thinking about Spider-Man 2, my experience with it, was negative. And here's why. But it's not a bad game. Let me preference that.
Sure.
Solid game.
Yeah.
But I don't think it does anything better than the original.
Got it.
I think, like, across the board, you name it, I think the original does it slightly better. It was more novel in the first one.
Absolutely.
We have Miles Morales, obviously, so it's not like we haven't played since that 2018 version. We played Miles Morales in 2020. So it's not like it's been a while. We've been in New York, and here we are on the same map for the third time.
It's true.
With is it Queens and
like Brooklyn, I believe.
Yeah, are opened up to us this time, and obviously we have Harlem for Miles Morales. But something about the whole experience, as great as it was to be swinging webs as Peter, and seeing Miles again. Yeah, I just something's just really holding me back from like really gushing about it. But
Sure.
I don't really think it's a bad experience.
I get what you mean.
The story isn't as strong. We had some issues with the combat, which we'll definitely talk about.
Sure.
But I think those kind of amend themselves once you kind of get to the end game and you have all your shit. And it's like, oh, okay, this is playing like Spider-Man 1 did to the end game. But anyway, I could go on, and we will go on and on.
Absolutely.
How was your experience with Spider-Man 2?
Gooch, I really enjoyed it. I did. I liked it a lot. I thought the story was very solid. I found the web wings to be a very interesting addition to the traversal area. I do think that is where there's like a market improvement from playing like the first one to the second one. But I agree with you. I think on most of those areas, I definitely appreciated seeing Venom. I thought Kraven was cool to kind of be introduced in the way that they did. But overall, I agree with you. I think the first one just, it hit on so many levels and it was new. And this does feel more akin to like God of War Ragnarok in the way of like, it's not as large of an evolution, but I will actually say I think God of War there's a bit more of an evolution from that first to second game.
I would actually, let me make a better akin to example. I think it's akin to Horizon Forbidden West. I know you haven't played that one.
I haven't played it. So.
A sequel that is doing the exact same thing, but isn't really doing like a super more amount. But hey, you like the first one?
For sure.
It's definitely more of that with some minor tweakage.
Absolutely. And I think one of the major issues they are kind of running into is the playground of New York itself. And like it feeling just like, too samey. And I talked about this before, and I'm probably going to bring up the Arkham series a lot in this because it's just the easiest kind of base point. But like, I think, and I was saying this to you before, those games do a really good job of evolving on their premise as well as locations in a very like natural way and cohesive way. Like, you start in the asylum for Arkham Asylum. Then you go to Arkham City. Then you're finally kind of into the greater Gotham area where you experience the whole city and everything feels new and they can kind of evolve upon that. Whereas New York, it's harder to do that when you don't have so many burrows to go to that work with his web swinging, and that's obviously why they had to kind of introduce the web wings back in, which again I did like and found fun, but
yeah.
They were just kind of flying, you were just kind of flying.
I think my one negative with the web wings is you just kind of clear through shit so fast.
You do.
And it's
you
just
definitely do.
Like, hey, you're getting to point A to point B quicker. I guess that's the point, right? But you do kind of miss some of New York, I guess. And, speaking of traveling places fast, the fast travel, I only used it at the end while I was like getting to destinations quicker to do cleanup. Wow.
Yeah,
what a technical marvel, I must admit. I don't think Spider-Man 2 is necessarily like a huge technical improvement. It does look pretty. I think there's an issue with the face models that we need to seriously talk about.
Sure.
But that fast travel, wow.
It is wild. It's very quick.
Very slick and nice.
And it is interesting. You can literally pick like any street on the map, right? And just go right to it.
We've never really seen fast travel exactly like that.
It's close to that in Forza Horizon 5. Like you can literally just click on a part of the map and it just teleports you there for the most part. Oh, cool. Might not be as quick, but that was the last time I remember seeing that. Like I do think it's cool and I think it's amazing. It didn't really blow me away like I feel like it did blow a lot of people away.
It's amazing,
because, Oh, no pun intended. But yeah, I don't know. I do think the setting is just where this game gets held back the most. And I think when you don't have a setting to expand upon, and I mean,
and it's like you can't. And we've had this conversation. Like you can't really do anything else besides New York.
I disagree. Well, okay, actually, I'm sorry. Continue.
It won't feel like Spider-Man.
I think you can't do that when you're doing an open world Spider-Man game. I think you can set a Spider-Man comic or a Spider-Man story wherever you want and make it interesting and do something cool. But like when you need a like urban playground for Spider-Man to go through, you need something like you can't like where else could you go? Like Tokyo? But then you're right, it's taking a lot out of what that character is. So and it's just like again, you're swinging around. I think you can do a Spider-Man story set in Tokyo, like a comic. I'm sure there's something cool there. But like, do you want a whole full open world game in Tokyo as Spider-Man? Probably not. Right. So I think where they really have to kind of focus their efforts on the next one and to make it like a noticeable improvement would be in the traversal.
And I do think the third one will be the last. I have a funny feeling. I don't think they're going to keep making them.
I don't know, man. I can see them, especially with the way they set up the person at the end and stuff too, like some other characters. Like, I think they're ready to milk this for all it's worth. And I don't mean this to
but like just talking to what you said, it's like how can you milk it?
So you just keep going until like maybe there's a noticeable end. And I do think we've talked about this. I think they made a mistake introducing Miles so early. I
agree.
And it's not that I don't like that character or anything.
A vital mistake was made with that.
I don't know. I don't think that you can't have those characters like occupying the same timeline and like especially do stories together. But like when you're kind of splitting the story the way that they did, there's obviously someone's gonna take the back seat. And I think that's
it's
Miles,
probably always going to be Miles.
as long as he is the second Spider-Man, which apparently by the end of this, we'll talk about that. But I don't know. I think he does get a pretty good resolution, and I actually might like his resolution a bit more than Peter's at certain degrees, especially when it comes to Martin Lee and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think you're just kind of getting into some things rather quickly there by getting him in there. Right. And also they're doing it, I feel like, again, with another person that they introduced at the end of the game, which we'll talk about. But
yeah, and it's interesting, for those who don't follow the comics or maybe into the Spider-Verse is really your only Miles exposure. The ultimate version of Spider-Man, Miles Morales, is only around when Peter Parker's dead. So in the comics, when it's just
when he was first introduced,
non-multiversal story, that's the situation.
Yeah.
So they've never really been together fighting, the same Earth versions of the characters.
That's true. On the same, they've definitely been like together in certain comics, but like where it's like they're both occupied. They're actually doing a comic soon. I think they just announced it where they're stuck. They're like it's called Spider-Men, I believe.
And it's just like the Spider-Men thing, for some reason, just doesn't jive with me.
When you got two Spider-Mans.
Yeah, like
Spider-Man.
Like it's like
someone take a new name. That's all I'm saying.
Right. It's just like we're just gonna Miles. He doesn't have another name, so
he doesn't. So why wouldn't he be? Yeah,
it makes sense. But it's just kind of at the same time, it's like you're really just gonna call them both Spider-Man, and like nobody's gonna get confused.
It would just combat, I think, get a little iffy. But I agree. I don't know. I just think it's not even necessarily more that they can't occupy like the same timeline. It's more that like maybe give Peter 2 of his own games and then kind of move on if that's what you're gonna do. Or just kind of dive. Maybe they could have even really differentiated themselves and started right off with Miles this time and had like Spider-Verse did, or not even this time, but like with the whole series and just gone straight to Miles. But I don't know how that would have went over with people.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of enjoy switching between the two protagonists. I don't mind it. I think they're Peter Parker's powers are actually a little bit weird to me because he's becoming like this is a plot hole in the story, by the way. Yeah. He's like techno gadget Spider-Man, but he can't afford a fucking thing.
Well, I feel like
he has web shooters that can 3D print shit on the fly, but he has trouble paying bills.
I feel like they really kind of reined it in on this one, especially with all the gadgets. He still definitely has them, like, but in the last one he had like 10 of them, which I actually did like the gadgets for the most part. I think you can do that in a way that doesn't still present it presents him as a guerrilla scientist, as Doc like calls him in the first game, like where it doesn't have to. Maybe it's not pretty, but it works well, and that's because he's so smart. But that isn't what they're doing here. He does seem to be like he can't pay his mortgage, but he has all this gadgetry to be Spider-Man.
It's a very Spider-Man 2 inspired Peter Parker, where he's just like, this guy can't fucking win.
I mean, I think that's Spider-Man in general too. Really, that's the whole idea.
Yeah, it's like also like the Spider-Man. There's a lot of Spider-Man 3 in this, and I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 as well. With Harry specifically, like
sure.
I just feel like in Amazing Spider-Man 2, he's not in 1. He comes back from somewhere, and they're like best buds, but like then a rivalry happens, and something happens, and then at the end they kind of.
Well, that's how he's always set up as like New Goblin or Green Goblin, even in the comics too. I believe like they always kind of have like some type of inner conflict or something like that to do with at least Norman, which again we'll get to him later, but I agree. I see a lot of like different elements from a lot of different stories, especially, but
and they are doing some new stuff,
Oh, absolutely. Well, dude, I mean, look at Venom. He's not Eddie, which by the way we'll talk about that, but like that was one of those things where I'm like, why are we trying to hold the bag here?
Hold the bag with what?
With who is Venom?
Oh yeah,
I felt like it was like pretty clear cut from the end of the first game.
Obviously, it's Harry, and we were like, well, obviously it has to be Harry. I mean,
who else would it be? Yeah.
And then you were like, I think we were talking like right before we did a podcast a few weeks ago, and you were like, well, it's either Harry or maybe Kraven.
That would be like the absolute maybe.
Kraven, like it seems when like he's getting exposed to the symbiote, he's kind of like sort of like. He like lusts it because of the power, I guess, and maybe it can save him, and like that would have made sense because this is they're adapting the Kraven Last Hunt storyline, and that's like really the only recognizable Kraven storyline.
That's definitely his most notable.
About.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree.
But I've been like, oh yeah, it would have made sense if he wanted the symbiote to cure himself.
Cancer? Yeah. See, so that's the thing. There was like a little bit
they don't go into that at all.
There was like but then it just immediately goes like, well, no, of course it's Harry. Because like, again, I don't know. It didn't feel as bad as the Arkham Knight situation with who is Arkham Knight.
Oh, right.
But like, because they were just like, we don't know who it is. I do think it's interesting that they just, changed it around and didn't have it be Eddie Brock.
That's kind of a funny comparison. I mean, I would compare Spider-Man 2 a lot to Arkham Knight. With that, the Arkham Knight of it.
Sure.
But also in the way it decides to include, which, I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong. Spider-Man 1 didn't really do this, where, like, okay, like, we have Mysterio, Chameleon, Sandman. We have, like their mission stories, but they're not main villains.
It's like that most wanted circle in Arkham Knight. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that they did take a few notes from that book and having the side content be a lot more meaningful in this one and kind of story.
Yeah, in the first one it was like, hey, let's collect the backpacks and whatever the fuck.
Take some pictures of landmarks.
One thing I think actually took away from the environment. I liked the point of interest in the first one. I forget what they were called. Probably that.
Sure, which are like ones that
you were taking pictures of the buildings and like the statues. New York felt a little bit lacking because they didn't have that. I feel like I guess.
I mean, you were doing those pictures for the one random dude for some reason.
Yeah, but they were more like they were just like take some pictures of some
people
like
in New York,
weird people and weird like things.
This is New York. We're together. We're best friends.
Yeah, like I get the concept, but I'm like, you know what? I would love to like go back to like Fogwell's gym and like take a picture of that.
I agree.
Or Alias.
I think there's a more interesting way to do that and find those, because it's like you can't do it again. Like it's like what, take the same pictures again.
Right? And I think that's like okay, like what. I don't know. I think it just takes an element out of it, because I would have
taken the pictures out completely, personally. Like the whole side mission you're doing for the dude just ran.
Look,
this is New York coming together. We're best. We're the best.
Wow.
And it's like, wow, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. Like it's, I don't know. New York in and of itself in this, and even the main characters. I said this before. Like, it's a bit too nice. It's like too like
they are. I don't know
like
if I would
even
say,
more so than like I think a Marvel movie.
I would
in
say,
the way of like
I would
how
say the Spider-Men are, but I mean I hear you, but I would more apply it to
definitely
like, the
more
main
the Spider-Man himself
than the world.
But like,
I do hear you.
The world doesn't feel as mean as New York. I feel like should feel at certain points,
right?
And I don't know, even especially with like
it's very
Peter
like unrealistic
and Miles, they're a bit milquetoast. In my opinion, they're a bit saccharine, too saccharine. Like, oh, gee willikers, man, we got to save the city from the bad guys, and I get it. Like,
I
Spider-Man,
can't save everyone.
I can't. What am I gonna do? And I don't think that Spider-Man shouldn't be almost a little bit like schmaltzy, maybe in a way is the right word, but like, it's a little bit overboard in my opinion. And I don't know why, because like Batman in the Arkham series is always dour. And the whole world around him is just
and it works.
Shit. And it works. Yeah, exactly. And like I like
it's the exact
and
opposite.
and even in like the like earlier games when it was even still rated T, I feel like you can do that, and I think you can lean into that side of Spider-Man a bit more. But I don't know. Like I thought Yuri was fine. It was great.
I actually really liked Yuri because I think interesting evolution, because it's funny, like the DLC for Spider-Man 1 sort of ends with that, like Yuri leaving the police force, which it's funny, the police are like absolutely absent.
I was
from
actually
this
talking
game.
about Yuri Lemonthal, but I know where you're going. It's so funny. I'm like you left the police force. Who are you talking? That's not about Yuri. No, it's okay. But continue. It's so funny. I'm like, what?
Yeah, we'll get back to Yuri Lowenthal. I like the way it's funny because like Wraith ends up being just like a side story with Carnage, no less, which I thought was really
I don't know why I did not
cool.
see that coming at all.
I was
because
thinking
he
about
looked
it.
very like like I was like, this character model looks like they put a lot of time into it. I don't know why. Like, you know what I mean?
I didn't realize it until like the last mission. I'm like, this guy's Cletus Cassidy, isn't he?
Yeah. I had it like as they were like crashing the train. I'm like, oh wait. And then that was a great reveal.
I thought that those fire missions, the Cult of the Fire, whatever they're called, that was really good.
Yeah, they
really
were fun.
Well done. And showing Wraith's willingness to get shit done. And hey, if I gotta kill, I gotta kill. These people know. They're fucking fighting us.
Yeah.
And they're
like,
not
I don't
want
to kill, but they're in my way or something like that.
Right. And Spider-Man's like, like, I get it.
Very Punisher-y.
But like you saying, there's this like milquetoast kind of like.
And he's like, I don't want to kill. And again, Batman doesn't want to kill anyone. And he knows, but like, the way it's like delivered within that makes more sense to me.
The writing is better.
Yeah.
At coming across of it. Hey, that Spider-Man doesn't want to kill, but he's not just like, constantly saying.
Well, and they're talking about like how the ultimate goal is rehabilitation, and like Spider-Man's like they go into Peter's mind at one point, and they're like, he hasn't really redeemed anyone. Like everyone is just sitting in jail, and he feels bad about that at all times. And I like that.
Which is
I thought that was cool. And Miles even gets to kind of do what Peter could never do.
I was really hoping that that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But I was really hoping that Miles would go over the edge with Martin Lee and maybe kill him. Because I think that's what they were, kind of setting it up, that like, hey, Miles is pretty like, he's become like a zealot with kind of like tracking him down and getting rid of him now that he's out of prison. So like, him going, being a Spider-Man and kind of like breaking that rule would have just been an interesting juxtaposition.
It would have been an difference,
Right, but like, I do like where they end up, where Martin Lee like kind of realizes like, hey, like
the error of his way, or if you
right,
will.
right, and they go inside Peter's mind and they kind of have like a moment together that they build like sort of a relationship, and Miles doesn't forgive him, but like, hey, like and like my dad wouldn't want me to do that. And then like cool, great, and like Peter does say it's like, hey, like I've never reformed any villain. I guess, but like that, I guess.
No,
like,
in the true way where it feels like
we have like Tombstone, for example, who's
that's
just,
true. I guess that's something.
but he
of a little
reformed
bit.
himself.
Yeah,
Spider-Man didn't have anything to do with that.
No, he kind of just beat him up really bad one time, and he was like, okay, fine, I'll stop.
Yeah,
but
I'll go work at Coney Island now. See ya.
I'll go work with the Connies. The thing with the Miles thing though that did feel weird was that didn't feel present in the other two games at all. That was like bothering him. That like Lee was alive, and like I guess it's because he was in jail, you could say,
right? Yeah,
but like I don't know, it did really
maybe
feel like kind of it just was like, oh, you're still like, not that you shouldn't be, your father died, but like you're still thinking about
You're
it.
right. In Miles Morales, that's really
It's not
never
really
brought
present.
up.
No,
yeah, it's not like, hey, it's
like of course they're sad he's dead, but like
right.
I don't know. It felt like kind of an out there thing. What did you think about the different like the split up like missions that you can only play certain side activities as like each Spider-Man? I felt like the one that annoyed me was the Mysterio one. That I was like, why can't I play as like Peter on this one too, and stuff like that. It's just like certain things where I was like, and it did kind of fuck with some of the achievements from or not trophies for me, because I was like, you have to use your like symbiote power 75 times or whatever the fuck. Like, so I kind of had to go back and do that with Peter, but I didn't really have a like thing I could go do like really quick. Like Miles, you can go back to like you can go around and do crimes and just beat up random people, but like there's no like ring thing that I can go back and just beat up a bunch of like things by rounds.
Why couldn't you just use your symbiote powers?
No, I could. It just took a while because I had to find crimes. Whereas like with Miles, you can just go back.
You save that until the very
I didn't
end.
realize I just was looking through. Luckily, I
Okay.
actually didn't have that much. I only had to do a couple more, but I just had to go from crime to crime with Peter, like doing them just to get them out of the way.
Speaking of crimes, I really do like the inclusion of the symbiote enemy type.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like, we've seen like, and even the hunters' pets were pretty cool. Like the robots, I thought were cool. Because I guess the enemy types of just thugs and people with like guns and batons and melee weapons was getting old. But I felt like the symbiotes added like a nice new challenge
layer,
level.
for sure.
Like they just felt like tougher, and I was like, oh wow, like they do really they really fuck you up if you let them.
Absolutely, and we were, especially with your webs and stuff.
You on Spectacular or no?
Yeah, I played on Spectacular. Okay. One of the big inspirations I felt here definitely was Web of Shadows, for sure. I don't know if you ever played that back in the day.
No, I know what it is.
It's a really good Spider-Man game, very somewhat old school. It is funny how many Spider-Man games there have been. But yeah, dude, the symbiote stuff in general. So let's talk about the villains here.
Mm-hmm. You want to start with Sandman since we start with him? Like
sure, how'd you that whole intro? What'd you
pretty
think?
Cool, but like
it didn't blow me away. Like it's so funny. I heard like Colin talking about it on the podcast. He was like, "This is wild and crazy cool." I was like, it was fun. It was very cool. I don't know why it didn't like. It just when we kind of got into the room and we're just fighting sand people, I was like, okay. And then once we get to like the big Sandman battle,
it was the same thing with Kingpin in the first one. Hey,
we're
gonna open with a villain who's not gonna be the main focus.
Absolutely. And I did like him though. It was a cool design, and I thought the idea of kind of finding his like shards or whatever around the city was an interesting enough.
Yeah, and then he ended up kind of playing into the piece of the puzzle with Kraven, as he was like, it seemed like he was like the first one he tried to track
recruit,
down.
Yeah, and then so Kraven's introduced, and again, just like, dude, so many things happen in this New York City. It's like, where's the National Guard? Where's the Avengers? Like, people are just invading and like, going crazy. There's just
nobody seems to give a shit, and that's what I mean. Like the police presence, and I'm curious if you think it's because. Do you remember some of those Kotaku's articles that came around, like probably like Ethan Gotch wrote them?
No.
Where it's like, Spider-Man's helping cops and cops suck. Like,
of course, yeah.
Fuck the pigs.
Fuck the police.
Yeah, it's like. What? Why is that the conversation? This is a video game.
About Spider-Man who just helps everyone, by the way. Yeah, that's the whole point.
Right. Yeah, but like I did, like the police presence in this game is just like at an all-time minimum.
Yeah, it's definitely not that high. Yeah, it's funny. I didn't even think about that. But even like, you got Kraven and his like hunters and stuff where it's like, okay. They've been hunting around the whole world.
Overtaking the city, flying like like high-tech helicopter.
Yeah, just wild shit.
Nobody's doing anything about it.
There's mecha panthers going around and shit. Like, it's wild. And I don't know how I feel about this like representation of Kraven being like, he has this army of people like sieging New York. And I'm like, shouldn't he just be he should be like a guerrilla fighter by himself? Why does he need this whole army to track down Spider-Man and all these different people? And I get it. He's trying to die in battle. He's trying to find someone.
It's a video game.
It's a classic video game. And,
they need to do video game things.
And, you need his army to beat. And I feel like he just kind of ends up getting tossed aside a little bit by the end for Venom.
I think Kraven's kind of forgettable.
I agree.
In this. Like he is used to get to Venom.
He does a few too many, I'm going to throw you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that thing when you want to keep a scene going and you don't want them to kill the person, so they have to throw them. They're gonna throw them across the scene.
I like some of his like fighting scenes, like when you get the black suit and they fight in the church, like like very Spider-Man 3-esque. Really dug that. But yeah, and then Venom comes and then Venom kills Kraven,
which was a cool scene. And he bites his fucking head off. That was dope.
Yeah. But then it's interesting that Kraven killed the Sinister Six from the last game.
Yeah, he did. He killed almost all of them, right?
Shocker.
Did he kill Shocker? That's a definite.
I would assume so.
Because I know the other ones. You see Vulture's wings. You see Shock. He doesn't kill Electro though, does he?
See, I would assume he got them all.
I'm only taking at face value who you see trophies from.
Chat says yes.
Okay. All right. So he killed Electro and Shocker.
Yeah.
That seems like way too many. Like, you're just throwing out those villains? Like, that seems dumb.
Do you really think they're going to bring any of those guys back?
Yeah, I would. Like, why would you not?
Yeah, I mean, not as main players.
Not as main players, but, in some fashion or another, it seems crazy to kill all 6 of them. I mean, Shocker isn't even part of that. He's technically not part of the 6.
Get back here, Shocker!
There's I don't know. That does seem wild.
I really wanted that. Well, I'm really mad they didn't give,
there was a few comic shots I'm kind of surprised we didn't get.
That moment of, why don't you just, get really mad at, a really minor villain?
And almost kill him.
Yeah. I do have to say, now that I've beaten the game, I think Yuri does a very good job with this. I think he, especially towards the end, I feel like he has a lot of better moments than he does at the beginning.
Definitely.
I like him in the black suit.
He works well.
So, I kind of agree with what I'm referencing his nomination for best performance as Spider-Man in the Game Awards. Yeah, I liked it. I think he was standout. When he fights Scream, which was so cool to see, the symbiotes from the Lethal Protectors storyline kind of coming in.
Yep.
Obviously, it's not MJ in the comics, but doesn't matter. Pretty cool.
Eddie Brock is Venom in the comics, so yeah, we're
right. We're good. Yeah. And that whole speech and that was a really interesting fight.
I will say I don't think they leave enough room for certain things to breathe in this. I don't know. Scream, you get Scream in, gone in and out in a fight. You get Symbiote Manhattan. We're in, out, gone. I was that's a cool fucking set piece. I would like to see that around for a while. And also, where are the fucking Avengers? What is happening in New York that everyone's there's an alien invasion?
And it's interesting that nobody even
mentions it.
Right.
Yeah.
Where's anyone?
There's a big tower in the center of New York that has an A on it. They are around. It's not so... I do think that
Shield must be around.
Shield's around someone. So I don't know. I would have kind of liked to see those links to the greater universe, especially when dealing with that.
So you know what I feel when this happens in the MCU.
No, and that's fair. And listen, I do think on this level, I'm just surprised there isn't anything at all. Anything. It's just wild to me. But yeah, so Venom comes in, and there's a few different things in this game where I'm that's cool. And then there's another thing where I'm why are we doing this again? So, MJ missions.
Yeah.
First off,
got to talk about them.
Just absolutely awful, and it feels like they put them in to just spite people.
I kind of agree with you.
And the way they responded, the guy responded,
Brian
whatever. His fucking quote was the most fuck you, man. I'm gonna do this just because I want. It was something about saying, well, she's a strong character, and we need to show that.
I actually think MJ's horrible in this game.
She bounces back a lot. I think she's kind of on par with Peter, in my opinion, in certain ways, because they're both doing things where I'm
their relationship.
They feel like they could.
is mid as fuck.
I agree. It feels like there are certain things that
I don't
just, like,
care about it at all.
something annoys me when, like, in a movie or a show where, like, there's tension between two characters and all they have to do is just have a regular conversation that everyone would have and it would alleviate that. But no, they're, like, just bottling it up for some reason. I know that happens in real life, but, like, there are just certain things here where I'm like, well, why is she working for Jameson? Oh, because she needs to pay for the house. She feels like she needs to pay. Okay, fine. I don't know. It just didn't line up. And also, let's kill the reporter girlfriend trope. Like, I don't know who thought that was like Lois Lane, Iris. There's probably 5 more I can name, but I can't remember. Like, give her something else. And I get it, because Mary Jane can really just be the damsel in distress in the comics, and especially, we watched Spider-Man 1 the other day.
Yeah,
she is just like,
Raimi
you just
trilogy.
she's there to be saved.
Yeah.
And that's not fun. And I understand that. But, like, making her, they kind of Team Flash it here a bit in this one.
Dude, thank you for bringing it up. At the end of it, I was like, since when did Spider-Man have a team? Since when?
Also, Mary Jane's being seen around Spider-Man all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
They're like
Stop
holding
it, MJ.
hands like in front of the Lily, is it Lily May?
Yeah, Foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, is that her name?
I think,
Lily?
Yeah, I guess so. I might be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
And I'm like, what are we doing here?
I agree. And she's involved in the final fight, getting like a crucial piece from the symbiotes. And I'm like, why isn't...
Emily, thanks.
Thank you. What Emily May, thank. Why isn't one of the Spider-Man doing it? It's like, oh, because Peter has to draw Venom away, but then Miles has to
gotta
draw
give
the
MJ
other
something to
symbiotes
do.
out. But then he like just fights them. I don't know.
And going back to your like comments that the devs were making, like, oh yeah, we made MJOP. It's like, but like, if you have to go through all these hoops and jumps to make this character work in this scenario, why are you doing it?
There's only 2 of them. I'll give them the credit in that. But like, it just does feel like
it
fuck
does
you guys,
feel
deal
like
with
they
it.
listened to us in Miles Morales, where it's like, okay, like everyone harped on the MJ missions, everyone with Spider-Man 1. I wasn't necessarily one of them, but I understood the point, and I know you did. You did.
I harped a lot.
Like
this
if you go
time,
back
too.
to our
Yeah,
review,
100%,
Trio was like no, and I was like, I hear you,
unacceptable.
but
Yeah.
I don't care. But in this one, it seems like. Yeah, it seems like you guys just like really wanted to piss people off and just include this, and it seems like you didn't listen at all.
I wish I could. I almost want to pull up the exact quote, but continue. Yeah, like they.
Yeah. And while we're talking about the main characters, I'm really mad at Insomniac for. I'll be honest. I think they're lying about their facial scan shit
With the other guy who used to play Spider-Man.
Yeah. I think. You know, I don't know why they changed that actor, but it wasn't because an actor captured better than the other. I just don't believe that.
But why? Do you know?
When have you ever heard that ever?
Are you an expert on motion capture? Like, I don't know.
No,
I do
but
necessarily.
how has this never come up ever before until this moment?
Because of, I think, the conversation that we're having right now. We talked about this before. If I go back,
you're not going to change my mind. But
no, I know, and I'm not. And no, I agree with you in a lot of. I agree with you on a lot of things. I don't necessarily think there's like some big grand thing to hide it, but I do think that there is something that disconnects you from this movie or this game when you go back and you played this game the first time with this other face.
Yeah,
but now you can go back and play it with the new face.
Yeah.
When you go back to see a movie and there's a recast, when I go back to Iron Man 1, Terrence Howard still plays Rhodey. He's not swapped out with fucking, what's his name? Whoever plays him now.
Yeah.
It would completely...
Cheadle.
Don Cheadle. It would completely throw you off. You're like going, I don't know, there is this like weird disconnect of like, it would have been maybe one thing to me if they didn't like go back and replace him in the original. But like it feels even weirder to me now that he's like not in the original remaster anymore. But you can still play Spider-Man PS4 and it's the original face model.
And the other thing that's like everyone is ugly except for Miles and Rio.
I agree.
Everyone is ugly. Mary Jane. Like what happened to her between 1 and 2? She looks like a totally different person. Her teeth are really weird. Her eyes are like very bright.
She just looks different to me.
Harry's ugly. Norman's fine. But like
Norman looks the same.
I think Haley looks really like bad compared to everyone else, like lower quality.
Sure, like the character model itself, you feel like was not invested as much time.
Everyone just seems ugly. Like and they change from one game to another. We've seen this before. It's called Assassin's Creed. Rebecca and Sean
yeah.
look different in every single Assassin's Creed game. So to me, this says that the engine that Spider-Man is using and also Assassin's Creed, they have clearly, when they upgrade the graphics, there is some issues with the engine to make these models look the same.
See, I don't even think...
Nobody looks the same except for Miles.
I don't think it's that. I think it's just a choice by them that to choose them. I don't know why. But
I think it's a bad fucking choice.
Some people aren't seeing the difference in MJ. I do think they look like two just different people. Harry's a different... You only see him in like... There's like a little picture on him.
And he's different in the first game.
He's different in the first game. I don't know. I was kind of hoping we'd have moved past this stuff to where it does kind of break continuity in your head a little bit, and a bit of immersion where you're like, these people don't look the same. And I do feel like they made like, even Peter's face model is a lot younger looking now. Like,
yeah.
And I don't know. It's just, I was not a big
and like, we were, Ezio, or not Ezio, Desmond is the same way. Like through 1, 2, 3, Revelations, Brotherhood, and 3, he looks different in every single game.
Yeah, it's funny
he
because
loses
I think
30
it's the
pounds.
same. Yeah.
He gains 30 pounds in Revelations and loses it in 3.
It's very
and his
odd.
face is like super bony. Like, what are we doing? Like, how are we? Like, there's something wrong. Like, I think it's technical, and they're just. I don't need them to come out and say it, but I don't want them to like cover their ass with like a lie.
And that's why I don't know. It just feels like such a weirdly specific lie to tell. That's why I do believe it just seems like this is why you don't do it, because you inspire all these questions and it just starts to get people all riled up in certain ways, because it's immersion breaking, it's off-putting, and I don't know why, like, even with a recast in a movie, like all the surrounding characters are still the same looking, so it still feels like normal, but I don't know. Either way, the MJ missions, please. Just take them out. Don't do them again. I don't know why I'm playing as not Spider-Man at all in this game. And I will even say that for a part that I found to be really cool. Venom? And it was when we get introduced to Venom. And you get to play as Venom for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the most, and you kill Kraven. I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, oh, are we going to open up? Is this a third? Is this the spear we didn't know about in Ragnarok? Like, is this the new wet? Like, we didn't know that Venom was going to be part of this? No, you just played as him for like 10 minutes.
It kind of reminds me of like the Avi Arad thing with Spider-Man 3, where it's like, you have Venom, like you better make him like playable.
Yeah, exactly.
Like somebody
for some reason,
right,
yeah.
Like you're including this character, make him playable. I have to admit though, Tony Todd, great job.
Oh, of course,
Venom.
yeah.
Looks fantastic. I think like especially going from like the Venom movies to this Venom. What a difference, man. Venom in the game looks incredible. Like, just his face and his mouth and his eyes. Like, I was really impressed.
And I do think it's easier to do, like, an effect like that in an all-CG environment. It just looks so much more natural. It looks like it, like, sets in. I was not a fan of his look. He's way too big.
Really?
Why is he Hulk-sized?
Who cares?
Because that's not how... No.
Venom's big.
Where's Harry's feet?
I guess like in his ankle.
In his in like his knee,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, like I don't know.
I'm fine with the size.
The whole introduction of Venom, like in the comics, which I like, is that like it enhances your already natural characteristics. Obviously, it makes Spider-Man so much stronger because he already has all these innate spider powers. Eddie Brock gets like buff as fuck to be as fit as he can be, so that it makes him the strongest it can be. And why doesn't it cure Harry's cancer?
Like instantly?
Yeah. Like, why does he need it on him?
I guess maybe it's with flesh wounds and
it heals you.
It's different. Can you? I mean, like, yeah, I guess you can cure cancer, but
yeah, it would go into your, but like, because that would be the whole, it would want to cure itself.
Like, how would the symbiote remove the cancer from his body?
Cellularly, it's a set like it's like it again. Like, I think that it could. I don't know. It feels weird. I didn't love his. I think his face looked great. I shouldn't say I didn't love his look. I think they just should have shrunk him down a little bit, in my opinion. Other than that, though, I think Tony Todd was great. It's an obvious introduction of so Harry has a black suit. We get Agent Venom for a minute, which was actually really cool. I would not have expected that to come in when Harry's kind of messing around and fighting with Peter.
Yeah, which was cool.
It was cool.
I guess.
Yeah,
I'm like a little different, but I don't know how like they're like fucking up and like whoa.
Yeah.
Oops.
Sorry, man.
Here goes this warehouse thing. Like See ya.
No, fire doesn't actually hurt me. Let's go.
And
No.
that was who was the ball? That was Tombstone. Yeah,
Yeah.
that they're rescuing.
Whose leg does it fix? Does it fix Harry's when it breaks? There's like one part where like
Yeah, I think it's
one
his
of them
arm.
it gets broken and it like snaps it back like from Venom. It was actually good.
Yeah.
I did like the effect of the symbiote and stuff too. I did like how tentacly it was, but yeah, I don't know. Just to bring it back to the playing as Venom, it was just a cool little teaser, but it just felt like, well, why? You know what I mean?
And I think like with Peter when he gets his symbiote powers, I feel like that's kind of odd.
How it just transfers to him?
No. Just like the way they look, like it almost feels un-Spider-Man-y that he's like has these tentacles.
Oh, for sure. When he uses the tentacle attacks and stuff like that.
And then like even when it's like when we get the Venom suit, which was I guess a big surprise, I was like, what?
What do you mean? Like just that he uses the tentacles and stuff?
Right, like they did the Antioch suit, but with like a Venom suit, and like now his powers are
Well,
white.
but then it's funny because
and I'm
do you
like,
know?
well, like I'm like, okay, so do you just have these? Like, are we gonna lose this in the next
See,
game, or
it's
do you just
funny
have
because
Venom powers now?
That's the thing. That's what you're also setting up, and I feel like he has
Which are
to.
also the name of Miles' powers. So Venom is it's
It's a little anti-venom powers. So the anti-venom, I mean, I think you know this. Anti-venom's a thing in the comics. There's an anti-venom.
No, I don't think I did.
Yeah, so that's like that actually has comic precedent. Antioch doesn't, but there is an anti-venom. I believe it's Eddie Brock, like when he gets turned.
But in Spider-Man 1, we only get one big suit change at the end. Like,
no, I agree. It's kind of like what's the word? It's a terrible coincidence because
with Peter, he's going from the new suit in this one, which looks great. Then we get the first version of the black suit. Then we get the second version of the black suit, and then you go back to Spider-Man, and now we have Antioch. Anti-Venom. And then and then Miles comes out with his
Adidas ad.
His Adidas ad, his Kid Flash wannabe Adidas outfit. And the only problem I have with that outfit is the head. I don't mind the hair. The mask just doesn't go with the rest of the suit.
I have a problem with the entire suit. It's so terrible.
It also kind of
retcons like the first one where he's like he's like, I'm gonna make one of my own style. It's like, Miles, you already did that in your game. Look at the suit. You know that black suit you're wearing? You went through a whole thing where you're like, I'm gonna design my suit. He did this already. Yeah. It felt like a true Adidas ad. They wanted to sell
the sneakers
and the outfit. And you can buy it. Good
the
for
outfit?
You guys. Yeah. Oh, you can. It's like a shirt and tights.
God,
dude, the worst suit I've ever seen. Not the worst, maybe. I've seen worse, but it's not good.
It definitely looks like a CW suit.
Yeah, there's ideas on it that I actually like. Like I like the electricity kind of coursing through it and stuff, and the colors can be cool. But
it just doesn't look like I don't see him and go Miles.
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like they were really trying to make it like. I don't even know how to describe it.
Speaking of suits, I do really love the suits for Peter. And they really made an initiative of not just, hey, here's the ones from the old ones plus like 10 more. Like they redid like the entire swath of suit category, but not for Miles. And I think that's because they don't have enough comics to pull from.
They don't. They had some that they made up. They have a few, like they had a Carnage suit for him. That's pretty cool. Maximum Carnage.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Peter just has so much more lore behind him.
All the suits from Miles Morales. And I'm
plus, like, I think there were a couple more, definitely.
I like that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. one. Like, that's cool.
I like that one a lot.
I'm fine with that. But yeah, and like the Carnage one.
I actually used his Prowler one the most, but with the red and black art style.
Yeah, and the Kraven one is cool, and yeah, like he has some cool suits.
I like Miles Mysterio one a lot.
Yeah, it's just the fact that it's like, okay, we're like you broke the rule, you followed a rule with Peter, but not with Miles.
But then it's also, but I do.
And I guess they had to match
like,
his number.
I think that's what they should have, and I feel like maybe take some out of Miles and give some more to Peter. But like then they're like, that's more focused on Peter, which it is. That's what this game is, kind of more about Peter. But yeah, I don't know. I think I appreciate that they brought in the anti-venom suit, and I like the idea of it, and I like the more tentacly attack that there's precedent for that in like different comics, and even in Web of Shadows, he's much more like uses his tentacle powers. And I did kind of miss how he doesn't shoot the webs out of his wrist instead, out of the top of his hand. When he gets the black suit, it shoots out of the top of his hand, not the bottom. Either way, I liked their variation of the black suit a lot. I liked how wet it looked. I liked how I don't want to touch it. It looks like it's gonna stick to me, and it's
it's different.
There's parts it's like hard shelled all over his chest, and it's sectioned off. But in the flexing parts, it's like moving, and you can see it it's a more soft material. I dig it a lot. I really liked how they brought in the thing of the suit wears him at night versus him wearing it during the day and stuff like that with the one scene. There was a straight up horror scene. That was the only sort of effective, I'll even give it to him, it was effective, Mary Jane scene where she's trying to run from Peter and he's just gone full Venom. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, run. This is cool. Yeah. I like that a lot. And it was genuinely a great tense moment. But overall, I think the Venom stuff is very good. And when you get into Venom City, that's where it kind of picks up. And you get the symbiote towers to take down. Those were tough.
Yeah, but I liked them. I liked the challenge because really the only challenges for me was some of the boss fights, which I was never impressed by any of the boss fights, even Lizard.
I actually think I liked what's his name's the best, Lee. Weirdly enough. And again, I feel like Lizard, he's just kind of tossed aside. I just think that there are
some... a spotlight
and I get why.
Off screen,
I do. And listen, I
like his, a bit of inclusion. I don't mind how, we don't go full bore with every single villain.
I agree. And I forgot that he had already been Lizard at this point by this time. Connor, because when he talks to me, he's like, oh, you're employing him after it. And I was like, oh, yeah, you see him. Someone is in costume as him in the first game. No, I do think you get a lot of great little moments with them, but I do think maybe certain things needed more time to breathe, and maybe you leave Kraven out, especially if you're not gonna have. I guess he does kill Spider-Man at the one point. He defeats him.
That was pretty surprising. I didn't expect him to die. I'm like, oh wow, they're killing him.
And
obviously this is where the symbiote
comes in. Yeah. But
clear.
It was absolutely.
But interesting.
It was a different take.
That doesn't really happen in the comics. Usually it just falls on him and he gets it.
Correct. Yeah, well, yeah, or he discover some weird thing happens.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking of Eddie. The combat. We had a lot of conversations about how they changed a system that wasn't broken and they kind of broke it. The gadgets being underpowered in the beginning, but I like once you get them all upgraded, it feels like it does in the original where the gadgets feel like they're actually doing something.
I agree.
And in the beginning of the game they don't. I think the controller scheme for both the powers and the gadgets were just kind of odd. I was forgetting, constantly forgetting, what I was clicking and what I was doing, and I'm like, why am I? It's simple, but
left
it's
versus right. Yeah,
it's just not. It's just not clicking for some reason.
It was the same for me.
And you know what? I almost didn't really like the whole powers thing in general. I don't Spider-Man is not
he needed the Venom stuff to match up to Spider, and he had the arms.
I get that, but
and the arms I actually like because it makes sense. I think
for me the arms thing was kind of I don't need Iron Spider, all the time. I think it makes sense considering he makes them for Doc Ock,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
so he has them in his arsenal. But I feel like it was just
they needed something to match him with Miles.
Yeah,
he needed power sets because they were good. And I think that they could have done that with the gadgets.
Because that was what they did in Miles Morales. That was different.
Exactly.
Instead of just the suit power.
There are just certain. I get why they got rid of some of the gadgets, but certain ones I don't know. The impact webs, I feel like we're definitely missing. The web bomb, why not?
Mm-hmm.
And they definitely sacrificed a lot of stealth elements in this game, but also added in those web lines, which made it super easy to stealth a lot of sections.
Did you find yourself using the stealth on Miles at all?
Yeah, not the invisibility that much.
No, I mean the invisibility.
No.
I use it every
I forgot it was even a thing.
It just feels like it's there because he has it, and that's the only reason.
I don't know.
Not because we're actually going to use it.
It felt like they really pared down on the stealth, and they were and I think I saw something with the directors where they were Spider-Man doesn't stealth that much. I'm like, yeah, he would. He would take that.
All these, you fucking idiot.
You fucking retard. No, I shouldn't say. Bleep me. No. It's why. I don't know.
Just say you're sorry.
I'm so sorry. I apologize. Sometimes it gets locked. It just things happen. he just feels like like you would in those, especially in those the like hunter whatever areas, like the main places.
The blinds.
The blinds were I didn't even realize. I was like, man, I'm getting fucked up on these, and I always get in. But once I was like, oh yeah, you have the web line, which was cool. You could make like real kind of intricate and cool patterns with the web line.
I thought the web line was fine.
It was nice, but it was a bit game breaking at some points where I could easily line up people and people. You just line them up and just zip them all up.
There was no holds barred.
There's a clothesline of people, like it's like 7 of them,
right?
Like just
no
one's noticing. Yeah, they're all just wondering underneath. But yeah.
We didn't talk about Mysterio. I didn't really like the choice of voice actor for him.
Yeah, it's Charles, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's in everything now.
Is he? Where else is he in?
He's in Mortal Kombat. He's one of the guys from Mortal Kombat. But he's in a lot of stuff. I hear him all the time.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just don't think I just didn't think it was great. And like I did like what they did for
the
Mysterio.
Idea of it, yeah.
I was fine with the side mission thing or the most the most wanted parallel.
Venom. Did we talk? I guess we basically talked.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about like anything else before we, I guess, head to the end of the game.
Yeah. We got combat, traversal.
Anything
we covered.
I mean, we didn't really talk about Genki or Haley a little bit.
Again, the sides. I liked Haley actually a lot. I like her as Miles' girlfriend and stuff. I like that love interest.
Yeah.
I actually found
some interesting representation too.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's cool. I like that idea of him having a deaf girlfriend. I think that's very cool.
Yeah.
Just in general, just like something that's
what doesn't make sense to me. How everyone is apparently really good at ASL. I'm like, I think that's like, you got to learn that. I'm like,
no, I know, like, but it's been like months, and like you're hanging out with someone who knows it all the time. They don't seem like they're like incredibly well versed in it. Like they seem like they're just trying to learn for their friend.
This is my ignorance. I'm like, I think it seems to me it's like not easy to learn.
Of course not. No, it's
yeah. So I would just, I'm surprised they're communicating with her so well with it. Like I know they're like saying
for sure, and I guess I take
like
that as like he's trying
knows
a lot.
I'm like, do you have time to learn ASL? And
again, that's where this comes to. There's a few missions in this in this game where I do feel like they're like
and her
hey,
boyfriend at the end. You're just signing to her. You just know that. Like come on.
Signing to who? What?
When Rio's boyfriend.
That's what I mean. When this is like
signing,
a small
he's signing to Haley, and I'm like, that's not realistic.
I agree. You would just show up and like, oh, you happen like it would be incredibly coincidental.
Yes,
for them to know, absolutely. Yeah. But I don't know. I do again. That's where I think this world does come to like.
Everyone's too nice,
and just like there are certain even missions like where I don't know. I do feel like this game is like. It's like asking. They said this on the Staker Cinema reviews, which is funny. I found it very funny. Like they're asking you to kind of like just try and make fun of us, or like try like you'll get fucking like I don't know. There's like a few missions in this. Like there's one where you're like helping 2 people propose for prom. And I'm like, it just feels like like
they're gay.
And they're gay, and that's and there's
it's fine.
And there's nothing wrong with it. No. But like it just feels like okay, you're making this very specifically about him like helping ask someone. It's not like he's helping like
here's your inclusive mission. Like,
yeah, it's very like they definitely felt like certain things where it's like, and again, there's not necessarily anything wrong with inclusivity, but it's just like very much like say something. Say something.
Well, like that was like when I was going through the one mission at the school, and I'm like, that's really interesting that there's just this Hasidic Jew like sitting here.
Yeah, you were blown away. I
just find this really interesting.
It's a large Hasidic Jew. It's the second largest Hasidic Jewish population.
I know, but like
I
mean, my thing was like I don't really just see Hasidic Jews kind of just like in random places with like. At non-Hasidic Jew things, like I don't know. I just don't I don't know. Like I'm like
maybe your ignorance is a little too high.
We have like a large Hasidic Jew population in this area.
Sure, but not like New York. Like again, yeah. I think you can get away with that.
I'm like, what's going? Like I just want to know Hey
pal, what's up with you? What's going on? Yeah, what are you doing? Why are you here? What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just different. Like which is fine, and I'm cool. Like if it was just walking the street, it would have been different. But I'm like, what's he doing at like this like progressive school?
But again, there are a lot of like that's not crazy to me at all.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Yeah, I think a little bit.
It's all right. But I do think, again, this is just asking you sometimes. Like, it's like, just try me. Try me.
Yeah.
But that's all I want to say on that. Yeah, I think overall the side content is mostly memorable. But, you know, there are a few friendly neighborhood missions where I'm
and, you know,
there was actually the really good one with the guy with the pigeons, which was definitely hit.
he dies.
He dies. That's very sad. He's obviously going to die when you're going to help him, but, like, it's still sad when you get back. Yeah, and I actually even like the one where it was, like, you helped the one woman find her lost grandpa or something. Yeah. And I was like, this is sweet and nice.
I like
the
one where it's the flashback. I thought that was cool.
That was interesting.
And I like that flashback mission. The bike was like fine there, but then it's like, am I really riding a bike for the side mission right now for the Emily May Foundation? Again, am I really doing this?
Like, I felt like
this is interesting.
And then you're like flying around as like a drone.
Did you do the
puzzles
or did you skip them?
I did them for the most part. Yeah. Oh no, I didn't skip any. Yeah,
I didn't skip any.
I don't know. There's just weird things where I'm like.
And again, another thing people complained about, but they included them just the same amount. And everyone was like,
Batman, I'm going to bring it up again and again. It does a really good job of doing these side things and these side mechanics that feel squarely within Batman and like what he would do. Like, you know, you're finding radio frequencies, or you're, you know, doing a stupid Riddler puzzle for God's sake. But like, I don't know, just it's like, yeah, you got to ride a bike through Central Park
before it explodes. Sure.
All right, I guess. Okay. I don't know. I just and listen, it's hard to make a video game. I would never put anyone down. I can't do it, for God's sakes. So like, I don't know what goes into like. I would love to be in those planning. Like, I would love to be in those like meetings of just like, all right, what's our side missions besides? And it's like, okay, we got the easy one. We got Carnage, Mysterio, Chameleon. Black Cat.
Awesome.
I actually, you know what's so funny? I found the Black Cat DLC superfluous in the first game. But coming back this time around, the closure you get with her, I liked a lot. By the way, I like that she has a girlfriend.
Also gay. Yeah.
Like, no, and again, that's not funny.
And she's gay. Yeah. Somebody's in a meeting. Don't forget. She's gay. Yeah,
but no, I did like that closure a lot.
That mission was interesting, and you could see the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart tech on full display in that mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, when they're going through the different places, and I kind of liked it. Like they brought in the Doctor Strange of it, and like, you know,
absolutely,
Wong kind of like sends them a note. Like that was cool.
That was cool.
Because
again, a touch to the greater world,
right? Which we don't have a lot of it all. This. No. So let's talk about the end and the Norman Osborn of it,
and even Harry. We really didn't touch on that much. I feel like.
Okay, so well, why don't we talk about Harry, and then we'll go into the end.
So we find out here that Harry has the same disease his mother died from, and he was basically put in a tank,
which is
some made up disease,
something. Yeah.
And Harry was put in the tank with a symbiote as like a last ditch effort to cure him.
Right, like we see at the end of Spider-Man 1.
Yeah, we see him in that thing. We find out that you know what did kind of throw me for a tiny bit of a loop with Venom at the beginning was Norman when he gives him the symbiote, because he's about to put him in the tank. It's like on him, and he like gives it to him. It like comes off of him. And I was like, oh shit, is that?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I didn't even
like the first.
It's the first scene. Yeah, Yeah, he comes back out. He tells Peter and Mary about that. Mary Jane. That is technically her name.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just funny. No one. Oh, it's Mary.
Oh man.
And we, find out that he has this symbiote. It's keeping him alive, but it doesn't cure his cancer for some reason. And he goes out, crime fights with Peter. He saves Peter with the symbiote.
The Coney Island thing. Yeah, we see him like do that.
Which was nice. I actually like that little area. I didn't spend a ton of time in the fair.
You know what? I will admit, I don't care about Harry in this game.
I don't care about him that much either.
Yeah.
I feel like because he becomes...
I didn't give a shit at all. But I didn't give a shit about him and Mary Jane either.
He makes a really... There's like this kind of weird in-between where, again, I don't think this game let things sit. Peter has the suit and he's just kind of ignoring Harry for a while.
Yeah,
which is building resentment, and they do bring it up, but it feels like it only has like one. Like it happens, like he calls him like once and is like, "Need that suit back, Pete," and like he's like, "Yeah, I gotcha," and no one's like, I feel like it takes him a bit too much time to be like, maybe it's the alien organism he has on him, but I guess they don't know at that point that it is an alien. They just know it. They think Connor's created it.
Right.
To save him. Okay, that makes more sense. I did like his kind of inclusion, and yeah, you're walking through it real time with me here, folks. I do like the inclusion of him being part of the research of the symbiote and things like that. Again, a nice little connection with Connors.
Yeah,
but yeah, so
a lot of references to Null as well.
Oh, that was the other thing. That was one of the major influences they definitely sprung from that we have not really seen in a greater Venom thing besides the comics. Is like the whole Null symbiote hierarchy and Null and the spiral and stuff like that. I mean, again, in Web of Shadows, it is something similar in the way of like Venom wants to take over New York City and turn everyone into symbiotes, but there's none of the Null stuff or anything like that because that's relatively new.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like within the last 5, like in the span of Venom, it happened I think in the 2010s, like maybe mid to late 2010s. I want to say that was like invented or created. So yeah, we get tied to like the greater symbiotes, you know. We see the spiral Venom even has his wings, which again, I'm just not a huge fan
Reminded me of
that.
like Swamp Thing with wings.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I see what you mean. Very like gothic vampiric wings almost, and he just flies around. And yeah, I don't know. You know, the last kind of little bit is just him trying to turn everyone into symbiotes, and it's this whole thing of like they want to save the world.
We don't want to kill Harry, but I was about to say Kurt Osborne. Kurt Connors is like, yeah, you gotta kill him.
Harry.
You gotta kill him, and I'm like, I think we gotta kill him.
Yeah.
And obviously they don't want to do that, but they ended up having to. And I was kind of
they don't end up killing him. They separate him. He's not dead at the end.
I know.
Yeah.
But then it gets revived. He is dead. He does die.
Does he?
Yeah.
So Harry dies completely.
Yeah, and then Miles brings him back. It's like 5 seconds later.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I meant like in the end, he's still like on. He's like on life support by the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He's like a veggie.
Sorry, I don't mean to jump ahead here, but yeah. And Venom or Peter, once he got rid of the suit, had a bit of the symbiote still stuck in him, which Martin Lee then transfers all his power into, and that's what gives him the anti-Venom suit,
which is pretty interesting,
which is dope. And I really like that whole kind of setup and scene, especially with him and Miles in like Peter's mind place. But the anti-Venom suit I like a lot. Like I said, there is precedent for that within the comics, which I thought was cool. I don't know how exactly that comes about in the comic books. I don't believe it's from Mr. Negative. I think it's like an experimentation of some kind, or like Eddie like hopes enough and turns it white. But yeah, you know, they end up separating Harry from Venom. They apparently destroy the symbiote, which felt like a bit.
Yeah, Venom's gone.
Yeah, he's just gone. Like that seems like a bit quickly.
But I guess Carnage is gonna happen
because they did separate a piece of him off at the beginning. Apparently, like that's why. Yeah, because it's funny when he picks up the symbiote, it's black, but like as he picks it up, it turns red. In the like container.
Yeah. To make it obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. Be like, and he's like, "There's gonna be carnage." He starts saying, he's like, "It will be the end times, the apocalypse. There will be," or he starts saying like a bunch of things. Like he finishes with carnage. He throws carnage in there. It's not as blatant as
he
there
turns
will
to the
be
camera
carnage.
and says, "There's gonna be carnage"
with Woody Harrelson. And yeah, we separate Harry from Venom. Venom seems to die, and he gets resuscitated by Miles, because he wasn't apparently supposed to be able to live without the suit at this point because they had been so thoroughly bonded. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
And I think that does give Norman the ammo that he needs to hate Spider-Man.
Absolutely, like really hate him.
Yeah. Like, it's not like he just is like fighting him. Like, I do like how they build it up to be like, yeah, I guess like even though he's kind of wrong, he blames Spider-Man for what happened to Harry, which is not really necessarily how it is in like, let's say like Spider-Man, the Raimi, but the first
of course
Spider-Man
he just
movie.
goes insane,
or the comics for that matter, because it's like that doesn't, this doesn't happen.
It's usually just the Goblin formula or something, like
right. But like now he's at the motivation to be like, Spider-Man.
What does that Green Goblin
and he's
look like?
And he's like, get the G serum. I'm like, what is this, Resident Evil with like G virus? I'm like, I'm like, okay, here we go. Green Goblin's gonna be our villain in the next game for sure.
At least one of them, yeah. And I mean, they set up a few different ones. I mean, obviously Carnage, but I do think
maybe
Chameleon for sure.
I hope we see Taskmaster come back.
Yeah.
Do you think we're gonna get DLC?
Maybe. I wouldn't mind if they didn't.
I think
they're full steam ahead on Wolverine right now, personally.
Yeah, and it seems like the DLC for the first game was really not well received. I don't think everyone.
I think it was very lukewarm.
No one really gave a shit about it.
I think it got like 8s and 7s, and was
It
just
was
like,
it
it's
was
fun.
fine.
It's more Spider-Man.
Right, it's more Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But like Hammerhead, like who cares?
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, so, and all right, we're fixing the house. We're finally moving in, getting rid of May stuff. The
Mary
trauma,
Jane's moving in, yeah.
The trauma's being removed from the house. Mary Jane's moving in.
And I actually did like that whole kind of thing of Peter's still not over Aunt May's death, and he's like, I did it. Like, I caused it. Like, I wasn't strong enough. And I like how we kind of worked by that and everything. Yeah, for sure.
And then we find out that it looks like Petey wants to take a little bit of a breather and let Miles take over, which I was like, I don't really like that.
I don't like
at
that
all.
at all. It doesn't make any sense.
Nah.
What do you mean? Like,
yeah, are you gonna take a break off screen and then come into the game in the beginning? Probably.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
And then even like Insomniac, we're like, Miles is our main Spider-Man now. It's like, what does that even mean?
No.
I don't believe you. I don't believe.
I don't like that
especially
at all.
if with him not dead, and it's just like Peter.
Like if you kill Peter off, I'm fine with it. Because now you have the room to do Miles proper. But if you're still gonna be like, oh, here's Peter.
He's out there.
He's still here. You know, like
I don't know. It feels like a very half-cocked idea. Like, why aren't they just both Spider-Man still? You just had one of the most insane occurrences ever happen in New York that you definitely needed both of them for.
I can understand.
I guess the idea is like
if
he's
Pete
like
takes
there.
the back seat, but like again in the third game he's gonna have to be like introduced. But then Rio's boyfriend comes over. Oh, JK, look, it's Cindy Moon, aka Silk. It's like, really?
Yeah, like we're already getting into
gonna
another
introduce
Spider
another
person.
And
it's like, are you just gonna?
I'm like,
and then
that
is
seems
she
like
gonna
too
be like a
much.
playable character
Well, like,
too? And it's
they're
like,
gonna have to change like Silk stuff around. Like it doesn't really.
She doesn't like web swing and stuff and things like that, right? I don't think she's like pretty different.
She's like, I'm trying to remember.
Because I know Jessica Drew is like very
she's
psycho.
created like from the same spider that Peter was bitten from, and I think they have like their powers are like kind of like connected, and they have like a pheromone thing like Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman. I think. So I'm like, how are we gonna do that? Like,
I don't know.
And I'm like, I don't really need a third Spider person to play. I thought 2 was already like
we're getting
kind of pushing my.
And then it's like
thing.
if I'm playing as her and Miles.
Yeah, no,
thanks.
no,
I'm good.
Like again, if Peter was dead and it was only Miles, I think I could get on board with it. But
a little
like,
more, yeah.
You're trying to do like all this stuff, and I just don't I don't know. It's tough.
There's a lot
because
it didn't sit well with me where that
I
ended.
think Spider-Man 2 is one of its flaws. It is chewing a lot of gum, like a big wad. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's got to work pretty hard to chew it.
Yeah. No, it's true.
But yeah, and I think if we did get DLC, I think I would like if it was Miles only.
Yeah.
To go off that ending.
No, give me
like
Peter only since we got Miles only last one. Fuck that. No, I'm kidding.
No.
No, I know. I'm joking.
Yeah, no, but I think it would work.
Yeah,
like,
no, it would.
Hey, we're gonna do the DLC, but it's gonna be Miles stuff, and Peter will be in it, but he won't be Spider-Man.
Optimally, don't give me a DLC. Don't. There's no point.
Yeah, but
and then move on to the next thing.
But also, let's get rid of Team Spider-Man. I don't need Genki.
I don't need Team Flash. I don't need Team Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I don't need all these
actually, but we're gonna.
You're
have
only
it.
as strong as the people. Were the Flash. Shut the fuck up, Iris. No, you aren't. It's so annoying. I hate it. They're trying to make like Mary Jane and everyone like this like again, they're a big part of his life, but like not in the way they're not like Mary Jane shouldn't be getting the central symbiote nerve from the Hive and riding through New York City.
It's honestly a bit like irresponsible to
it is.
her
It
do that.
100% is.
Yeah.
It's you're putting your girlfriend in danger.
Go fucking fight like the
It's
symbiotes.
again. It's like the first one where she's like, "I need to do this. There's a bomb in Central Station, but I need to take care of it, even though Spider-Man's here because I need to do something."
We almost forgot about the podcast. We have a better podcast than that fucking bimbo.
Yeah. Oh, by the way.
Oh my god.
That was actually made me sad.
Oh
There's
my
like next to
God.
no Jameson, and then we hear this dumb person that I don't give a shit about at all.
The new normal. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it was very. It didn't
Shut
work at
the
all.
fuck up.
It was so annoying.
Like, oh my god.
You
so
get like a
annoying.
random what's his name? Fuck, why am I forgetting? Spider-Man, give me a picture of Spider-Man. JJ stuff in there, but not nearly the amount.
Do you like those? Like, I actually am starting to dislike like the Danicast and the
I hate the Danicast. I like J. Jonah Jameson. But even still, like it works.
Why does
very
it go
well
away when I go into a mission? Stop that.
Let
it play.
We'll talk about stuff, especially like that with Alan Wake when we get into that. But
Like, I'm so annoyed.
It is annoying,
Like, I'm
yeah.
just sitting here. Like, I gotta stop playing the game to listen.
Exactly. It doesn't let you play them while you're swinging around, too, if you're playing them again. It's very annoying. It was the same way in the first one. Yeah, I did not like the Danicast. So annoying. Shut up. I don't care about you.
Yeah,
J.
and
Jonah
when
Jameson's
she has
kinda fun.
MJ on, like, and the epilogue, like, ones, I'm just like, this is so cringy.
I didn't even listen.
Like, this
I probably missed them.
Cringy.
That's what I mean. It's just, it's not.
She's voiced by Ashley Birch, which is also annoying.
Yeah.
I don't think Laura Bailey did a good job with her performance as MJ at all. I don't like her as
I think
MJ.
she's fine with what she's given. Like, I mean, she does,
yeah.
like, I don't know. I like.
It's nothing, like, again, I think it should be something better.
I just don't think her and Peter have chemistry. Genuinely,
Yeah,
like
I kind of agree.
and
I
it's
don't care about
It's
the
the same way
relationship.
looking back at the Raimi ones. Like
It's not-
Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire. They look like they're two dead fish trying to kiss.
Who I'm trying to think of a video game relationship I'm really into that like totally opposites this. Nothing's coming to mind. Or like Geralt and like Triss, or Geralt and Yennefer, like, which I'm really engaged in, and I like those relationships. But like in this, I couldn't give a fuck less. Like, I'm not drawn in at all.
Not even sort of.
But anyway, I don't think this game is gonna win any awards. I think it's gonna be the game that got nominated and wins nothing. I you know, just like Horizon was, where it's just like, hey, like, it's a sequel game. It's, you know, I guess it improves upon the first one, but not really. Like, give or take, you got to nitpick the shit out of it to sort of like get to those reasons, like I did. I like the game. It's solid. I wouldn't say it's like you got to go run out and get it. I was talking to Al Hernandez, friend of the show, and he's like, "Didn't get Spider-Man 2," and I'm like, I wouldn't say you need to go run out and get it.
I disagree with that. I think if you're a Spider-Man fan, you're gonna love this. Yeah, go out and buy this shit out of this.
I just think as like a total experience, it's like, yeah, it's fun, but like, if like, you know, if you're between that and like Alan Wake 2, get Alan Wake 2. I do like how the game is a nice size though. I think like 20 to 30.
Yeah, some people were complaining about that.
I'll say 30 to 40 hours, because I think I finished at like 37.
It was like 25 all said and done for me. I want to say 25, maybe 30.
Maybe I was a little less. Maybe
Yeah,
I was
you
like
probably.
26.
I think it's more.
Actually,
short
yeah.
than
Sorry, I'm getting.
You
Alan
took a lot
Wake.
of breaks and stuff too, for sure.
Yeah, I was like 26 hours, which I was fine with. Again, I'm platinumed. I'm done. I like that. It's off my plate.
Absolutely.
Easy
Listen,
plat.
It was fun. I beat
68% of people have this platinum.
It's the same for the first one.
Yeah,
too.
it's wild.
That's
easy
a lot
plats
easier.
get the people in, man.
Well, and it's funny. Listen, I like a plat that I feel like is within reach, and I think that that's a good.
Yeah,
balance.
I don't mind them either.
I enjoy
I'm
those
just
ones
saying.
because even still for like Dead Space, I think my most rare one is Dishonored.
Yeah, it's like it always comes back to Dishonored.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Dead Space 2, that took me a while to get, but that was just because I died 3 times on the or maybe twice.
Oh yeah,
On the end thing. Yeah. Either way, yeah, I think that covers it, Gooch. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think that it might seem like I'm a bit overly negative on it. Maybe don't use that as a takeaway from it. I did really enjoy it. There are just certain areas where I'm like, come on, guys, get the net. Like, what are we, like, figure this out. Get rid of the MJ shit. Get rid of this superfluous, like, kind of fillerish type stuff, which I will say I think they mostly did. And it's a nice, tight game that I got through in about a week and a half to maybe 2 at the most. And it felt nice, Gooch. It's like a nice 90-minute movie. I get through, I feel good, and it feels like I accomplished something. A good 90-minute movie, I should say. But anywho, anything else on Spider-Man 2, Gooch?
that's it.
Alrighty. Well, thank you all so much if you've been watching with us live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network. We really appreciate your time. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network. We're on all the social media pages as well, at Delco Nerds on basically everything. We got a Facebook page. We got a Discord channel. All of that good stuff will be linked down below. You can even email us your comments, questions, or concerns, delconerds@gmail.com. We'd be happy to get back to you. You can find all this information on our website, delconerdnetwork.com. For Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy and stay out of that radioactive spider blood.